Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me in this video. I am Natasja and today I am going to take a look with my tarot cards into the year of 2021. This is going to be a general reading, so it's not a pick a card. This is a general reading for the global situation. So we can get into several aspects. I am going to use this spread, and I will get back to that while I'm doing my reading, and we will find out the general tendencies in the several areas of our lives in 2021. So if you enjoy these videos, please remember to share, like, comment. I read all of them. And you can also subscribe to my channel. That really helps me. And if you click the bell icon, you get notified whenever I upload a new video. So let's get into the reading. I'll be using the Tarot Grand Lux from Ciro Marchetti. And I'm going to shuffle the deck. And then we will get some answers about 2021, the global situation, as we are slowly emerging from this corona crisis year. Several other agendas and issues are emerging. I'm very curious about those. And the general tendencies for the year 2021, the global situation, the general tendencies, the global situation in 2021. Alright, I have my cards laid out. I have two jumping cards. And the jumping cards at the beginning of the reading that are in position 1 of the quadrant, or in this case an overall energy for next year, we find the Ace of Cups and the Two of Swords. Now, what do these cards tell me? That, like I said, a situation is emerging. We are emerging from a situation, and a new situation is emerging from this year that we are finishing up right now. I also believe that emotions are being stirred. People are more emotional and maybe more intuitive. People are feeling things, are becoming aware of emotions and feelings. These feelings might even get to the surface and get out there, so people may react more emotional. People may be more intuitive, and maybe they won't be able to verbalize it very well, but these feelings are definitely there, and they are coming to the surface. There's a sort of a breaking through of things that we usually keep to ourselves is now coming to the surface. And we also see the Two of Swords, and these two cards together, the Two of Swords, is obviously about a decision that needs to be made, but without knowing the consequences of your choice. So that is why this person is kind of blinded or veiled. They need to make a decision, but they cannot oversee the consequences. And there's a heavy emotional load behind this decision. So as I see it, we are at a crossroads. Next year we will be, as a human race, at a crossroads, and we will need to determine the direction that we want to go in. But we are dealing with things that are so much bigger than our personal lives that we may not really be able to oversee where our decisions will take us. For instance, there's a lot of information about the Great Reset. That is one direction that's being plotted out. There are also initiatives in other directions, more in an opposite direction. And these initiatives are more with the common people, the common folk. And they want to also change the way we live and the way we shape our society. Because I think we can all agree on one thing, that the way we have been living so far isn't really working out very well. There's tremendous amounts of poverty. People are extremely vulnerable. They're living on a few cents a day. And these people are the ones that are being hit the hardest when a crisis like this coronavirus or the measures that governments are taking to curb the virus are a problem in itself as well, especially for those very poor people or the people that are on the verge of poverty. So there's a lot of things we can think about next year, and we need to use the emotions that we're feeling as our guidance into the direction that we need to go. Excuse my lighting, the sun is deciding to pop up and kind of ruin my lighting here, so I'm sorry. But as you can see from these cards, we are on a pivotal point in our history. Whatever decision we will make next year, or maybe even the next couple of years, will be very, very crucial for the further development or halting the development of the human race in general. So a lot of emotions and also big choices to be made without knowing the consequences. The second card is about our mental aspects next year. We see the Three of Swords reversed. If you see this card upright, we are experiencing a deep sorrow, a deep loss, a heartbreak, a disappointment. This image shows it very well, the expression of this person, the feeling that we can have of defeat, of loss, of distraught, and losing hope of good things. If we look at this card reversed, it isn't as serious as it is when it's upright. In the traditional tarot, you see a heart with 3 swords piercing it. And if you turn that around, the swords are falling out of the heart. So that means that if this card comes in the reversed position, we are slowly coming out of this feeling of sorrow, of loss, of defeat, of hopelessness, of disappointment. Well, I think we all agree that 2020 was a huge disappointment. Many people had to postpone their plans. Many people saw their businesses being destroyed by the measures that were taken by governments. People lost loved ones either through COVID or through other life-threatening diseases that couldn't be treated because the hospitals prioritized COVID patients. So 2020 kind of was a year from hell, and in 2021 we will slowly emerge from that terrible year. Maybe the vaccine will be a good thing. Maybe the virus in itself will finally be acknowledged not to be the threat it was thought to be when it began. So several factors could be into play here. Also, it could mean that the restrictions that governments put on their countries might be loosened or relieved. So there's going to be a slow emerging from this deep sorrow and loss and defeat that we have been feeling this last year. The next card is about our relationships, and in a way, last year has separated all of us. We were supposed to keep 1 meter, 2 meters distance from each other. We couldn't meet up, we couldn't gather, we couldn't have parties. All these things are the cement of human relationships. And that has been eroded last year. People need each other's company. People need to be in the same room with each other. People need to be able to touch each other, to look each other in the eye and to feel each other's skin. And that is so important to relationships. And maybe because of last year, we begin to realize how important that actually is. And also the insight that we in 2021 should put effort in restoring our relationships. I see many people all over the world working on rekindling relationships, getting together again in whatever way is possible with the mandates of the governments. People are working to create some social structure again. We are rebuilding our social structure. The church that's being built in this card is the Notre Dame. The Notre Dame has caught fire and has had serious burn damage. One of the main towers collapsed, and a huge part of this building has been destroyed by fire. It's quite telling that this card comes up because the Notre Dame is going to be rebuilt in the same way we will be rebuilding our social structure, our relationships. So, yeah, and I now understand why I was guided to pick this deck for this reading, because this card is very, very profound. The image, it takes a lot of effort, and we cannot do it alone. You cannot build a social relationship when you're on your own. We need each other. We need each other's input. We need each other's talents. We need each other's jokes. We need to argue. We need to test our ideas and opinions with each other. And we need to harmonize with each other. Only when we harmonize, we will be able to build something as strong as a Notre Dame again in our social structures, our relationships with friends, with families, with colleagues, with your neighbors. anyone who is remotely close, pun not intended, in your life. The creative aspirations in 2021. We find the 9 of Wands. To me, this tells me that our creativity is going to be blocked. We are going to feel very vigilant, very distrusting. We might be expecting new COVID measures at any point. We are hesitant to start new businesses because we are not sure that we've beat this thing. We've beat this COVID thing. We have survived the measures that governments has taken. So our creativity is very much under pressure next year. And I can understand that we are not generally very much interested in 2021 to start a new business. You want to see where it goes, if it's really over, before you invest your money, your time and your resources into a business. And so I think we will find that a lot of small businesses are barely hanging on, and maybe a lot of them won't survive in 2021. I think in 2021 the dust will settle on the battlefield of the corona measures, and we'll finally see the damage that has been done. We will see all the boarded up shops in the streets, in the malls. We will see how many people lost their jobs, lost their income. So we are going to feel like this person is displaying. We are barely hanging on. We feel tired. We still want to defend what's ours, our businesses, our jobs, anything that we hold value, that has been put under stress by the measures that were taken. I don't see a quick recovery of the economic situation in 2021. People will be hesitant. People will be very distrustful about possible new measures that will be taken by the governments. Some people might argue that this crisis, the emotional aspect of this the economical aspect of this crisis is not so bad because it's not a lack of money. But some insiders know, and maybe some of you know as well, that there is a financial crisis hidden beneath the corona crisis. That's my dishwasher that you're hearing, just so you know. So I know, like a lot of people who are well informed, that this corona crisis is being used to cover up a deeper financial crisis. A crisis that we might not be able to recover from within a year's time. So I still see a very difficult year when it comes to businesses and creative endeavors, like events or gatherings, like in Holland, in the Netherlands where I live, we have these festivals, and I suppose you have them everywhere. So, and all these things are tying in with our creativity and relaxation. And this card is kind of the opposite of relaxation and creativity. This card is being tired, being beaten down, but still hanging on, being wary, being distrustful, being watchful. I feel that a lot of people may have lost their trust in their governments because of the measures. And I don't see a quick recovery from that in 2021. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be a struggle. It's going to be a challenge how we are going to deal with this. We are going to need to use whatever creativity we still have left to deal with the damage that has been done, and to help each other out, and to make sure that everybody's needs will still be met, even though there's less shops and more people without a job and without an income. When it comes to our actions, we find the Eight of Swords. This is going to be a difficult card, because this is a very stagnant card. This is the card of feeling locked up, still. I believe that, like I said with the previous card, we are very distrustful of more measures being taken, more lockdowns, and mentally it has taken a hold of our psyche. And therefore we feel trapped by our own fears, by our own fatalistic thinking. If this period has been lasting for way too long and the psychological pressure has been way too heavy, so it's going to have a lasting impression on our psyche, on our mind, the way we think. We might feel safer if we are in a lockdown, but we also are kind of imprisoning ourselves with a certain state of mind, with a certain set of beliefs. The narrative, and I say it this way because opinions diverge on this topic, and I do respect all opinions about this, because I believe that every opinion is a different perspective on the same situation, and therefore you see just a little different outlook, a little different aspect of the situation. So I don't dismiss any opinions, but the narrative tells us, has been telling us for over a year, that we cannot trust each other, and it's been engraved in our mind. It's like being etched in our mind, and it's going to have a lasting impression. We might still be trapped in that way of thinking in 2021, and again I will take this card with it, because these two are very, well, not similar, but they complement each other very, very well. So we might feel trapped in our belief systems. We have been taught over the last year to distrust people coming close to you, to not touch, to not shake hands, to not being able to see each other smile because our mouths are covered up. And there's definitely a deep psychological impression that leaves us kind of paralyzed, or we feel helpless. It's a learned helplessness. We could step out of this situation if we just take these swords out of the ground and threw them away. And we don't even have to take them all out, just a few. And these swords are ideas, they are mental aspects, they are ideas, they are belief systems, they are the psychological impression that was put on our minds last year. It's going to be a challenge. I feel that we feel helpless, but we may be able to do more than we think, but I'm afraid we won't see it, and therefore we won't take action. Now, if we go into our emotional aspects for 2021, we find a Judgment card. Excuse the lighting, the sun is just doing whatever it wants to. The Judgment card, first of all, it's a major arcana. This is a very influential card. And it's also a depiction of Judgment Day, the last judgment, the judgment of our souls. And I think a lot of people might feel like we are in the end times, in the end days. And our people are yearning for justice to be done, for the divine justice to be done. I believe that certain things have been emerging over the last possibly 6 months in this year, 2020, that has shown us that there are peoples, groups of peoples, institutions that have their own agendas that involve us, but do not necessarily have our best interest at heart. And I feel that we in 2021 may be confronted with the feeling that we need to address these things. Otherwise, it's whatever we hold dear might be lost forever. It feels very definite. You see an angel blowing a horn to wake up the sleeping souls of the deceased. And whoever can hear the call will wake up and will have a chance to undergo this divine justice, this divine judgment. But also, we as a collective, as a human being, as a race, we also can execute our divine judgment. In the sense that we do away with things that do not work for us, things that are adverse to us. We have maybe in 2021, it may be our last chance to rise up against the things that we don't need in this world. We can review the way we have been living so far, the structures that we've built, the way our governments work, the way our democracies work, the way our NGOs work, where the power structures are, where the monetary incentives are, where the profits are, and where the losses are. We can review that, and we can rise up to this call to address this. To just for instance, if you look at the website of the World Economic Forum, you can see that they have plans for us. And some might agree with those plans, and some of us don't agree with these plans. But we cannot just look away and pretend it's all a conspiracy theory. We need to look at this. We need to address this, because if we don't agree with this, this might be our last chance that we have to address this, to correct this, to make right what is wrong. That is the ultimate meaning of this card. It is, in a personal sense, a review of your own life and a moment where you are being offered the chance to review some past experiences and to make right what's wrong. But we also need to do this collectively. Maybe, just a thought, maybe we are the instrument of God's divine judgment. Maybe we are the instrument. After all, we all have a soul, and our souls belong to God. And if you don't call it God, you can call it the Lord of Souls, or the Lord of Spirits, or the all-encompassing Spirit, or the universe, whatever name you give it. It is the place where all souls come from and where all souls will return to. We are an instrument of that. We are an appendix of that. We are like fingers on a hand, where we could see the palm of our hand as God and our fingers as our individual selves. But we are very much connected to this higher, all-encompassing consciousness, whatever name you give it. And through that consciousness, we will have a chance to review our way of living, to review our society, and to make right what's wrong. If we go to the subconscious aspects of 2021, we see the Page of Pentacles. The Page of Pentacles is a youngster, not very experienced, very responsible though, very eager to learn, someone who's really serious, someone who takes his duties serious and knows that they need to take care of those who cannot take care of themselves. But still inexperienced, still need to learn a lot. We are like this child. We know we have responsibilities, but the way we execute them is inexperienced. We still need to learn a lot about what it is to be human and to take care of ourselves and the planet and all the creatures that live on the planet. We are in an infant stage. We need to grow up. We are learning. And usually learning is difficult. Learning is overcoming adversities. Learning is overcoming difficulties. Learning is solving problems. We still need to learn a lot. We are good-natured. We deep down understand that we need to take care of these fawn and that butterfly. They depict the innocence and the gentleness that we can find in nature and in ourselves. But it has been pushed to our subconscious. We are being consumed by a world that's driven by consumerism. Buy this, buy that, spend your money here, spend your money there, work hard, buy this, die, things like that. That's our world. Loud commercials, neon adverts everywhere, especially in big cities and certain shopping malls and places like that. Our TVs, we are bombarded with commercials to buy this, to spend our money there, to consume. So this aspect, this nurturing aspect, this caring aspect, this serious aspect, this aspect that is in potential a great caretaker. This Page of Pentacles will, while it develops into adulthood, turn into a King of Pentacles, a ruler, but a responsible ruler who knows that his rule is to serve, to make sure, to provide. So we need to shift from self to self-serving to serving the general good. It has been put in the background, but I believe that we have an opportunity to reconnect with this aspect in 2021, especially because in the emotional aspects we found this Judgment card. We need to find out where we took the wrong turn. And this is a hint in the right direction. We can organize things in such a way that there is no shortage for no living creature on this planet. But we still have to learn a lot. It's all in our subconscious. And I think if we want to get in touch with this, the way to go is to get in touch with nature. As you can see, this kid is surrounded in nature. It's in the forest. There's this fawn, this butterfly, trees, bushes, plants, flowers. It's all nature. That's where we can find our own nature. Reconnect with it. Meditate in the woods. Take a walk in the woods. Sit on the beach and meditate on the sound of the waves. Go out at night and look at the stars. And just stand there for a few minutes and allow these feelings to go through you and to allow this subconscious to service. So we can reconnect with this aspect of ourselves and we can actually learn and grow. The next card is about our practical matters in 2021, and there we find another page. It's the Page of Swords this time. And the Page of Swords is a well-intended, intelligent, smart, witty, but sometimes a bit too sharp. Maybe a bit clumsy sometimes. You know, it's kind of like a child with a knife. We usually don't endorse that because accidents are bound to happen. So this card also warns that accidents might happen in practical matters. We might fail, we might hurt each other, we might make very bad and wrong decisions and hurt ourselves or others in the process. But it's also a part of the learning process. You don't really know how sharp a knife is until you cut yourself with it. You don't really know the damage that you can do until you do that damage to someone else or yourself. And presuming we are good-natured, we might strive to learn from these experiences. Like I said with the previous page, this page will finally grow up to be the King of Swords, the mental master, the master chess player, the strategist, the visionary, someone who can see through everything, understands the mental aspects and can work out anything through logic and reason, tactics and vision. Intellect, very smart, very movable as well, very, very flexible, can change perspectives in a whim. And this child does not really control these aspects yet. It's still learning. But if it actually learns from these experiences, it will get there. It will reach maturity into this master strategist, the King of Swords. So in practical matters, things will probably go wrong here and there. But please remember our nature, that if we do damage, that we also make it right again, that we don't neglect our nurturing aspects. We can tackle practical matters very intelligently. But we are not just a mind, we are a heart and a soul as well. And if the mind is actually really intelligent, it will include the heart and the soul. Otherwise, it's not intelligence, it's just cleverness. Cleverness is not necessarily smart. If we can make these distinctions and we can understand that we are learning to use our intellect in the correct way, and we understand that we have a nurturing nature, and that should be our starting point with every activity, we will get there somehow. But I will warn that we might face troubles and we might make mistakes and we might actually cause damage. We might make wrong decisions, do stupid things, hurt people we don't mean to hurt, destroy things that we, in hindsight, wish we hadn't destroyed. "2021 is turning out to be a year of challenges, of growth, of recovering, kind of trying to heal and to correct ourselves and make right what's wrong. And the last card, our inner strength, we find the temperance reversed. Now temperance, upright, is about tempering. Don't overspend. Be careful with your resources. Make sure you use measured amounts of what you need. Don't just slap a few things together, because it will all be out of balance. If you want to achieve perfect balance, you need to temper yourself. You cannot just let the pendulum sway in every direction to its maximum swing. So we need to kind of balance ourselves. We need to be careful with what we do and say and how much energy we put in there and what kind of energy to get the desired results. Now, that is what we have been doing last year. We have been restraining ourselves from parties, from fun, from social gatherings, from going to work, restraining ourselves because we have been put under financial distress. We have probably been restraining ourselves too much. And that is when you get this counter-reaction. It's like holding your breath. You can only do so long, and then if you stop holding your breath, you will take a gasp of air that is so big. It has nothing to do with your normal breathing. If your normal breathing is about a percentage of 20% intake and exhale, but if you hold it in, you have zero intake and you exhale 100% once you open your mouth. And then you will have to compensate for the exhalation of 100% and will take in much, much more than that 20% because you have been depriving yourself. You need to compensate. You need to rebalance things. And the balance has been lost. We have been swayed into restrictions, and I feel that there is this feeling, this urge, this inner desire, and it may be very strong and overwhelming to just let it all out and go partying even more than you used to. More parties, more social gatherings. Anything that we couldn't do, we will do much, much more next year. But we still have this wariness. Maybe, does it lead to more restrictions? Does it lead to another lockdown? Are we really free to restore this balance or not? Our inner strength is to find this balance again, but you cannot find it if you don't allow yourself to sway a bit. Just don't go into the excess. Sway a bit and try to bring it back to the center. Again, meditation is a very good tool for this, to become aware of your needs and wants and fill them with measure. But I feel that we might want to compensate for what we missed last year. And it's part of restoring the balance, but as it shows up in 2021, it's disbalanced. There may be people rioting in the streets, fed up with the measures, students who feel that their future has been robbed, fed up, letting them out, maybe go on violent riots, things like that. It's a natural reaction. We need to learn to balance ourselves, and again, this card is also kind of related with this Temperance card. It's about restoring balance. And use your inner strength to create balance. I am also going to use a few of my dice. I'm going to grab a few, throw them out and see what comes up. Wow, I see a warning here. The first die shows us someone yelling. It seems like a warning. They are trying to get something across. But the other party isn't really listening. It looks like they're wearing headphones. They don't want to hear the message. Cacti grow in deserts. What will be left? Are we in a desert? Is our world becoming like a desert with less life, less liveliness, less life? Skeletons, death, scarcity. And lastly, see if I can hold them, a bird cage. Are we caged? Are we caging ourselves? What's going on? Is the good things of life being destroyed? Is our lush forest of commerce and social interaction being turned into a desert with no liveliness, with very sparse resources? Are we getting locked in there? Are some of us trying to get the message out, but are people not willing to listen? Are people discarding it as conspiracy theories? Because that's a popular term last year. I don't believe in conspiracy theories. I do believe in conspiracies. And I'm not saying that every conspiracy theory is true, but we should at least listen to them and see if we can find truth in there before we discard it. Otherwise, we are not being intelligent. We are not even being smart. We need to be careful that some of the things that we are faced with in 2021 might be irreversible. Once a lush forest has been turned into a desert, it's impossible to make it into a forest again. Well, some people might dispute this and they might be right, but it's going to be such an enormous task. It's much better to not destroy the forest. I believe, looking from what I have been seeing in the cards so far and with the dice, that we are going to be stuck. We think ourselves stuck. We probably won't stop agendas that might not be in our interest because we don't want to hear it. We might end up in a cage, but once you're in there, you don't have a key to get out. Humanity is learning great lessons in this period of time, and I really hope it will lead to the salvation of our souls, of our humanity. But it seems like the odds might not be in our favor. We might to use everything that we have in ourselves to restore the good things, to restore a fruitful life again. We are at a crossroads, and I really hope that this reading might help you to understand the deeper, unseen flow of energy that's below the surface. If we are aware of that, if we know the undercurrents, we know where we are going to end up. And we also know what we can do if we don't want to end up there. I'm going to leave it at this because I've been talking for almost an hour. I hope you find this reading helpful, and please come back somewhere in 2021 to either confirm or to challenge whatever came up in this reading. I'm very curious about your points of view. So I wish you a very good 2021. Be blessed. Bye.